that the Congress is simply unwilling to give attention to many issues which it knows the people are concerned with, and which issues involve restrictions upon the federal government's own power. I think the founders foresaw that, and they provided this method in order to enable a convention to remedy that. If the only way to get that convention is to take this minimal risk, then I think it is a reasonable risk to be undergone. The alternative is continuing with a system that provides no means of obtaining a constitutional amendment except through the kindness of the Congress, which has demonstrated that it does not want to have any other way to get a constitutional amendment. The Congress knows that the people want more fiscal responsibility, but it is unable to provide it. Now, what we need is some means at the federal level, like Proposition 13. The Constitution has provided it. I suggest that if the only way to clarify the law, if the only way to remove us from utter bondage to the Congress is to take what I think to be a minimal risk on this limited convention, then let's take it. I listed first among my the things I would like to have considered structural issues at the federal level. I don't have a lack of trust in the American people. I mean, you know, I'm the one up here who's least terrified of a convention. Yeah, we've come a long way. We've gotten over a lot of problems, but the fact remains that there is a widespread, deep feeling of powerlessness in the country. One sees it on every side with respect to many issues, not just the budget issues. The people do not feel that their wishes are observed. They're heard, but they're not observed, particularly at the federal level. Now, the Congress has come up with a lot of palliatives for this problem, among which I was on a panel a few days ago discussing the legislative veto, for example, which to my mind doesn't solve the problem at all. The basic problem is simply that the Congress has become professionalized. It has an interest much higher than ever existed before in remaining in office. It has a bureaucracy that is serving it. It is much more subject to the power of individualized pressure groups as opposed to the unorganized feelings of the majority of the citizens. All of these reasons have created this feeling, which is real and which I think has a proper basis, of powerlessness. One remedy for that, the one specifically provided in the Constitution, is this amendment process which bypasses the Congress. I would like to see that amendment process used just once at first. I don't much care what it's used for the first time. I think just having it used once will exert an enormous influence upon both the Congress and the Supreme Court, I think. I think we'll get the parameters established of how you do it, what can be done, and I think after that the Congress and the Court will behave much better. Sure, I wouldn't want a convention for some silly purpose, of course not. But I think there are a lot of serious purposes around, a lot of matters that profoundly concern the American people and as to which they can't have any voice. I really want to see the process used responsibly on a serious issue so that the shibboleth, the Richard Rovere nonsense about, you know, the end of the world is coming, can be put to rest, and we can learn how to use the process responsibly in the future. I talked about the need for a convention because somehow the federal legislature has gotten out of our control and there's nothing we can do about it. One can say the same thing about the federal judiciary. And that's one reason I'm willing to take the chance, in order to have a convention, take the chance of some doubts that now exist. I'm not sure how much longer we have. I am not sure how long a people can accommodate itself to directives from a legislature that it feels is no longer responsive, and to directives from a life-tenured judiciary that was never meant to be responsive, without ultimately losing its sense of control of its own destiny. We are all sitting breathless, waiting for the Supreme Court to tell us what our fundamental beliefs are with respect to this particular issue, without having a hope of getting anything done about it if the Supreme Court should find that our fundamental beliefs are in fact different from what our fundamental beliefs are. We have no recourse. There's not a whit of a chance that the Congress will overturn any decision that the Supreme Court comes down with in the Weber case. And unless this alternative method of amending the Constitution is adopted, we will continue to live under that kind of what I consider inanely non-democratic system. It is just foolish to sit wringing one's hands, wondering what the Supreme Court is going to tell us our fundamental Constitution requires on an issue such as this. It isn't though we have had a sacrosanct, untouched Constitution. The Constitution has been changed, whether we have liked it or not, over the last 200 years, and not merely by the ratification process. Many of the decisions of the Supreme Court have made fundamental alterations, which we've never had any occasion to say we like or we don't like.